Good morning, good morning, good morning. One thing is for certain, I am by your side, and that's why we show up every day here, 10 a.m., Thursdays at 1 p.m., so that we can do the work so you can have information to help you make better decisions for better living. That's right, Michael, I am by your side. Absolutely. It is the Release Devotional 2.0. Time for us to get it cracking. That's right. Good morning, Monique. And good morning to everyone across all the platforms, Facebook. Yes, absolutely love you. I know that there's several pages that you could be watching us on. So across all the pages, thank you for the watch parties, for the shares. Just grateful to have the meaningful work I think that happens here, not just because of me, but what comes out of me and is engulfed by you all. And then we all get together and create this thing, this community of growth. I'm so excited about it. I can't even tell you. Every morning I get up excited to see what's going to happen today. So across Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, love, love, love. My screen is Phase Morning. I don't know what that means, Pooh. Thank you for the kisses on Periscope, though. I love those golden kisses. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So today, I'm excited because this is a topic through a person that I've got exposed to from a sister friend. Good morning, Miss Helen. Dr. Creslin Kelly Ellis. She was a great friend of mine and a coaching advocate here when I was getting started, 6 years ago now, in this specific brand of coaching. And so we got to work together. And then she started a podcast. And as a result of that podcast and inviting me to be on her show, I got to meet two incredible other women. And so I'm excited because I knew at some point that we would gather up to work together. I wasn't sure how. But I'm always excited when God weaves the threads together and everything aligns. So today I want you all to be excited with me. We're going to be talking about oneness and what you think about oneness and what you understand about oneness. Bring all that to the table, not trying to negate anything, just want to expand on and expound on what we understand about oneness. And for today's definition, we're going to take it from this standpoint: the state or quality of being one with the divine, singleness, understanding one's connection and unification with that divine presence, and then how you connect from that to all creation. Okay, the state or quality of being one with the divine, singleness, understanding one's connection and unification with that divine presence, and how that connects you to all creation. So, yes, hello, Reverend Angie. Good to see you. Oneness, all about the oneness. So, without further ado, y'all get your emojis together and all that radical hospitality that you all practice so well. And please welcome on the platform with me today, Pamela Gray Daniel. Hello.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me, Jeanette.
Yes, so excited to have you. So excited. You all need to know that she is a dynamic voice for oneness, and especially in the world now that's echoing so much division. Her voice and her platform is so important. And through creative arts of storytelling and other gifts and tools that she has through God, she allegorizes real life situations to reveal spiritual truths. And her newest book is what we're coming from today, healing our history and co-creating a culture of oneness. And so I want you all to make sure you support her. Information is in the header. If this is something that I believe would be a great asset and tool to your toolbox of learning and self-discovery, healing our history and co-creating a culture of oneness, especially in this time. I'm sure, Pamela, when we first spoke, neither one of us knew what we were about to walk into under this banner of oneness. Because when we were doing the podcast, I can't even remember what month that was, but we were in the pandemic.
We were. Mm-hmm.
We were doing shelter at home, but we weren't into this whole racial equality revisiting. So
Yeah.
how have you been absorbing what's been happening and processing it through your oneness filter?
Thank you. It's really interesting because, we didn't know we were going to be here, but the Spirit of God knew, right? And so I fully believe that God prepares us for times we do things and we don't know why we're doing them, but we act in obedience and we continue just to do the things that we're called to do. So I started writing this book back in September of last
Wow.
year.
Yeah.
And it was, people were telling me the title's too long. Don't name it all of that. And I was like, no, it's really important. Like, I feel like healing our history is important, that we have to say that. And then co-creating a culture of oneness. This is also important. And I need them both there. And so not knowing we were going to be here, but our spirits knew, our inner beings knew. And that's the beauty of oneness as well, because when you are connected to this divine presence that knows all, that sees all, and sent you here, it sent you here. When you're connected with it, you are going to do things that line you up to be in a place to create change and to be a presence, be an example. And so I'm just humbled and I'm thankful and I'm grateful. It is, for a lot of people, a scary time, but I do feel very prepared.
Yeah.
And thankful and just grateful for what God kind of showed me about where we go from here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You sound like me when I was talking about a devotional that I did. I've written it way back in way back. It was the beginning of the year. It was like
so long ago.
Right. But it came out around February-ish, right?
Okay.
And so I had no idea. So when God said, start doing the devotional, and I started going through every day, every topic started lining up with things that we were going through this pandemic. And that's what I feel like about your book. I feel like it's that prophetic offering, the tool that you need before the problem shows up, right?
Yeah.
And so let's get into this. I know you have a scripture that you want to introduce that was the foundation for you for how this whole concept of oneness kind of developed out of, and it comes from John 17.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and share that. And I definitely want you to read it and then just share the importance with us.
Yeah, sure. This is Jesus praying his prayer for us before he leaves. And he says that they may all be one, just as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they may also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them and you in me, that they may become perfectly one, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them even as you loved me.
Man, so much to unpack in that.
It's a powerful scripture. And I had started a group at my church. And originally I called it Diversity Fellowship because I wanted to get people of different cultures and backgrounds together and have these tough conversations. And it was a little difficult because there were groups of people who would come, and then some of the people who were, would consider the majority would not come. Those who are in the dominant culture, because they felt like it was this fringe thing that was just for people of color, people,
right,
who felt marginalized, like it was just this place for them. And so one day, and I'm going to say this because this is just who I am. So God told me, like, it wasn't like a God thundering voice from heaven, but it was that inner God voice speaking, saying, showed me this scripture. And how many times one was just, hammered over and over again. And so I decided to change the name of the group to We Are One. And that has been a mantra of mine as I just go throughout this everyday life. We are one. We are one with God. We are one with everyone in this world, even when they're behaving badly. We are one with all of creation. That's what equality really is, to understand that we're made of the same stuff. And so when we embrace that understanding, we transcend all of these labels, all of these things that we put in front of us or we box ourselves in order to give us a sense of belonging. But our real belonging is in God, is in the universal presence, is in the source of our being. And when we get that, when we grasp that, I feel like there's real hope for us to begin to treat one another in the ways that we were designed to.
Man, and I agree with the chat room. They're saying it's so beautiful, and it's disheartening because you want to move from it's so beautiful into it is, it is beautiful, but it's almost like it's beautiful, like it's a beautiful, unattainable, crystal thing at the end of right. Instead of it's that we are one with even what this says, what I mean? So many beautiful things to unpack in this, that we may all be one. That's this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the horizontal, one to another, as the Father and are in me and I and you. So we start looking at the vertical. And I think that's part of the reason some of us are having such a hard time with discussions from faith-based Christian, especially groups that claim to be one with God, but not one with your brothers and sisters in Christ, right? So it's, how are you one here, but you can't see your way to be one here?
Sure.
Man, do you get those questions? Because you become now the queen of oneness.
All the time. And I think that what we have to understand is that, one, first of all, I do want to acknowledge it does seem unattainable. Like, doesn't it? It seems like, how can we reach this? Right. But it's possible. And so that's the first thing that I have to do, is remind myself that all things are possible. All things are possible with God when we connect with that understanding. The questions that I do get, and I often see it, and I've been discouraged by it in the past, like I said, with this group that I had, where it was like, I was hearing you say that you love God and you love your neighbor, but you're not treating your neighbor like as yourself, as the scripture says. And I'm reminded of, there are different sacred texts that talk about how, we still live in our humanity. We live this duality of life where we have our physical selves and then we have our spiritual selves. And that's the part that we're connected with God. And when we connect with our spiritual self, we connect with others. We learn how to do that. But our humanity gets in the way sometimes, And so I began to look at those people who have a hard time embracing oneness as having not a handicap, but they have a block to oneness. So what's their block? Their block is something in their ego that is keeping them from their true self. Because I believe that our true self is one with God. That's who we really are. But we come into this world and we get socialized and we're taught what's right and what's wrong. And then we, shame ourselves, hate other people. And so what we need to do is come back to our true nature. And when someone is not embracing love, is not embracing me as an equal, I have an understanding through my practice of oneness. And like I said, it's a practice. It's a daily, moment by moment, second by second practice of looking at them, looking for God in them, and then also being able to spiritually discern what is the block. Because some of it is fear. Some of it is ignorance. Some of it is anger. And that's why us doing our internal work to get back to who we really are is so important. We can go to church all we want, or we can go to synagogue or whatever, but if we're just doing it to feel good for the moment and we're not actually changing, are we doing any good? And so it's really important for us to put the work in to become in a place where we can embrace this oneness and that we're focused on it, that it is our focus.
I love that. I love that. I'll get you to turn your volume down just a little bit. I'm starting to get just a tiny bit of feedback. Reverend Angie says, that is my prayer, that we not get sidetracked by all the things that are happening in our world. We have to stay focused on oneness with God and loving one another. And because thank you, Reverend Angie. So true. So true. Because I know that the Empowerment Tribe is made up of people of all different types of races, cultures, faith beliefs. And I love that we always come together and we just meet each other at the point where we understand God and the divine. One of the things that is coming up in my thinking now is just how important oneness is in the belief structure of Buddhism.
Mm,
And that, many times you'll read about different practices. Like the whole thing about meditation is about focusing toward oneness, that
hmm
you're no longer, you now mesh into and remember who you are in God and God in you, and you are one, right?
Yes.
and
Yes.
and so I love this story, because people, I'm a visual person, Pamela, so there's things that help create those ideas for me. And I hope maybe this will create the same for you all watching. I remember somebody holding up a sheet of paper and saying, do you see a cloud in this paper? And then everybody's sitting there looking like, what are you talking about? Right. Do you see a cloud in this paper? And nobody responded and said, do you see a cloud? If you have to be able to see a cloud in the paper, because without a cloud, there's no rain. Without rain, there's no tree. Without no tree, there's no
Yes.
paper.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so our understanding of what oneness is, even, speaking of a tree, you can cut off a few limbs of a tree and the tree could still grow and the tree could even thrive, but you can't cut off the sun. So then
Yeah.
what's more part of the tree? Is the limb more tree than the sun is tree? So when we start looking at those things that way, I wish we could take that understanding and apply it to human life. If
Yeah.
you want to cut out a section of people, a group of people, or you believe a race of people to be inferior or inconsequential or any of those things, you do understand you're cutting off a piece of you.
Yeah. 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 And whew, yes.
I know. I know.
Because,
I'm sorry.
but you know what? Here's the thing. There's things that we've learned or we've been taught that we have to unlearn in
Yes.
order to go there. So I call myself trans-denominational. I don't have, a denomination or a religion or a dogma or any of that. I understand that I'm a spiritual being, and so I connect with God on that level. But I grew up in the church. And I remember reading stories about the dirty Philistines and the dirty Ninevites and all of these things. And it's except our silence is our yes, our silent yes. And so when we read these stories and we accept that as, oh, well, it was okay then it's okay now.
Right.
And that was part of my having to, those are things that we have to come to reckon with. God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And so something happened. People were in their humanity even then. And so this is something that we really need to evolve from, this mindset that we're separate, that some of us are chosen and some of us aren't. We are all chosen. We all came into this physical existence because we're extensions of the presence that's never absent. And it's infinite, and it has infinite amounts of expressions and ways of just being. And we have to stop saying that someone's way of being, someone's existence as an extension of that source, God's source, is wrong, or fear for something to be feared, or something to be concerned about, or to agree or disagree with. We have to learn how to come out of that.
Yeah.
It's a practice. It is something we have to practice and we have to be vigilant about.
And we're going to give you an opportunity to practice today, because, we always come and we listen and we ingest and then we do the work. I want to share. I see you, Savalas. I'm coming for your comment. I love, I had this thought the other day. You just said, I know where I am in spirit. I don't have labels. I don't operate under any of that dogma. And I was thinking, it's funny because I know, having worked for churches and been a member of several different denominations,
Mhm.
and even being a minister in training now, I understand myself to be somebody who's doing an inside job.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Like, I feel like we have to illuminate and bring understanding. I mean,
Yeah.
from everything about women being ministers and women in ministry and women in roles, to the things that you talked about, how we perceive people,
Mhm.
the curse of this people, the this,
Mm.
the that, this, all of that stuff. And so I want to encourage all of you to find your space and place.
Mhm.
Because if you're called to a certain thing, I really believe that oneness, and this comes to your comment, Sabalas. Oneness doesn't mean I have to be just like you, but oneness means that there's a piece of me that is you. And so that
Mm.
we have to figure out what that is, not
Mhm.
reject it because I don't understand it or I don't recognize it.
Yeah.
But respect your differences, he says, and understand how our strengths and weaknesses complement each other for a particular mission or purpose.
Yes.
Boom. That's it.
Boom. Drop mic for real.
Got the mic from there. And Neil, I see you. I rise, you rise, we rise. Absolutely. If
Yes.
that's not a statement of oneness, I don't know what is.
Yes.
Because it's true. I don't have to lose for you to win. And you don't have to,
Yes.
lose for me to win. And we can all rise. What is the biggest barrier? Because we've been talking so far about our oneness and trying to be receptive to and understand our oneness when it comes to others. But let's talk about the major barrier and
Yeah.
block to oneness within ourselves.
Yeah.
That misalignment where a lot of our issues lie, where a lot of the problems of our life, if we peel it back, will look that we're not in oneness with ourselves, right? How do we, I know, but we're going to breathe through it. Oh, we're going to breathe through it.
Mhm.
How do we, and I'm faced with it every day when I think that I'm in oneness with myself about a situation, a circumstance, or even a belief.
Mhm.
And then step back and go, okay, let me reinvestigate there. Let me dig in there.
Yeah.
Walk us through that, Pamela.
So, oneness with self really requires us to release our attachments to what we think we are. So, for a lot of people, if someone said, what are you? Or, what do you do? I used to hate that question.
We just talked about
What do you
this
do?
yesterday.
And it's like, I'm not.
Just talked about this.
But there's all these things that appear that we are attached to, that give us comfort in knowing who we are, right? In this physical existence. So I'm a mother, I'm a Black woman, I am a coach, an author, I am a Christian, or I'm spiritual, or what, I'm cisgender. Like, all of these titles, all of these labels that we give ourselves are attachments. And they often cloud us. They're like clouds in the sky that keep us from actually seeing who we really are. And when we hold on to them too tightly, because first of all, I love being a Black woman. I'm not down in that at all. I know that I chose the skin when I came here, and all the things. I love being a mother. But when I'm attached to it to the point where I can't transcend it,
Yeah.
then that's what keeps me from oneness and understanding who I really am. Because the world has imprinted us so much, has told us who we are. And it's time for us to strip back and say, what does God say I am? Like, why am I here? Who is God? You know what I mean? And then in finding who God really is, you find yourself. And once you get to that place, you have to remind yourself all the time. So you might say, "Oh, I'm such a failure at this," and nope, I'm not a failure. I'm an overcomer. I have challenges, but I am able to do all things. I have everything that I need to reach my highest potential. Remembering all of these things, speaking to yourself, and reminding yourself who you really are. So yeah, attachments are the thing that kind of get in our way. And I love this exercise that Muji, one of the teachers that I listen to a lot, Muji Baba, does. And do you mind if I lead everybody?
Go ahead. We said we were going to introduce this.
Excellent. Okay, great. So for just a few minutes, I want us to make an agreement that we are going to lay down our attachments, the ideas that we have about ourselves, the things that we think we are, the boxes that we check, the things that people told us about ourselves. And I promise you, I'm not going to make you leave them for good. You can pick them back up after this exercise. But for right now, I want us to close our eyes and to just think about who we are. So if you begin to think about, your race or you being a parent, that is an attachment that we need to lay down. That is something that someone has given us or we have given ourselves. So we're going to release those things. So as we do that, what are the things that we feel we are? What are we? Are we Black? Are we white? No, we're not, because we've released that attachment, that box. What are the feelings? What are the things that you feel that you are in this moment? If you type it down in the chat box and just give us an idea of what are you feeling about yourself? What are you thinking about yourself? What are you seeing yourself as being in this moment? One of the things that I know that always comes up for me is that I am love, that I am encouragement, that I am creativity. So those are some of the things that I want you to focus on, those type of attributes, not things that can be assigned to you by someone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right in line. I mentioned that we started this yesterday. We were talking about our big fat why. And I hate when I go to parties or different things, or it's the uncomfortable conversations where people don't know what to say and they lead with, so what do you do? And there's that moment where, are you trying to figure out, am I worthy to talk to based on what I do?
Yeah.
Do you regard yourself more highly in what you do, so you're just actually waiting for me to say what I do so you can tell me what you do?
Yes.
Or are you sincerely interested in what I do? And so we talked about leading with our why. Like, our why for me is the connection to oneness. So if somebody says, so what do you do? And I say, well, I'm a change agent. I love empowering, inspiring, and educating and informing people in original ways. Then you get to, well, how do you do that? Then you get to the how and what, right? But leading with the why. Let's go to the chat room, see what they're saying.
Yeah.
Monique says, I am presence.
Yes. That's oneness right there.
I am
beautiful.
present. If you lay down what people say you are and what society says you are, Reverend Angel says how we feel based on our view or society's view, and how you feel based on your own view, not society's view.
Yeah, we're laying down all that.
Like, even if I took off the label of Reverend, if I took that off, and we took off Black female, and we took off mother, wife, and we took that off, what else is there?
Yeah, because before you became a mother, you weren't a mother. So what were you before that? What were you before? What were you when God knit you in your mother's womb? I'm an encourager. Woo, yes.
Yes,
love
you
that
are. Okay. She says, I'm confident.
Yes.
I'm confidence. Daryl says, I'm love, strength, and encouragement.
Beautiful.
Leola says, I am joy.
Yes. So when these resonate, if any of these resonate with you as you are seeing people say who they are, this is a part of oneness. This is a part of practicing oneness, is having people identify parts of themselves that are a part of God's qualities and beingness. And then you're connecting with that as well, because who don't want a little bit of joy in their life? Who don't want a lot of joy in their life? Who
Yeah.
doesn't want loyalty? Who
Right.
doesn't want love?
I want to go back because she said, I'm in tune with God's word. Is that a state of being? Is that what's the word I'm looking for?
Is it awareness?
Right. Yep. You're chipping at it, because what I really want us to do is, okay, let's say you are in tune with God's word. As a result, what are you? What does that make you?
Yes. Thank you.
Right. So attunements. Got it. Because here's what and I'm not saying that this is what's happening with you, Reverend Angie, but what I am saying is, yes. So here's the question. What does God say you are? What does God say you are? List those things. Strength. Yes. Because here's what I don't want us to do is be afraid of speaking the root.
Yeah. Yes.
Because not perhaps this particular group, but for replayers and people who are new to me, and if we're not careful, it becomes easy to crutch on that, because I don't really have to investigate what I am in God, because I'm what God says I am. But what is that? But if we don't know what that is, right? Yes, we're on track. Right. If I don't know what that is, then what good is knowing that, right? I got to know what that is. So love. If God is love, then I am love.
Yeah.
Right. If we understand it, then I am love. If I am in God and God is in me, and we are one, if God is love, then I am love. I'm wisdom.
Yes.
And here's what's beautiful. Sometimes we don't reclaim pieces of ourselves just because we don't see it operating at the max in this moment in my life. So let's take wisdom. It can be hard sometimes for people to say, I am wisdom. Because maybe sometimes I do dumb stuff.
You just out of alignment when you do dumb stuff. Right? It's just a sign to get back in alignment, right?
Because when you, and I know you all know, there's times when you have spoken things beyond your understanding. There's times when you had a knowing beyond your capability to see, hear, perceive. That is divine wisdom.
Yeah.
And when you have, that is in alignment, then you are, right? So you have to be able to speak. That's the alignment. Yes. Right. We have to claim it. Exactly. Even if we don't feel it.
Yes.
We have to claim it. Monique asks, does the anxiousness go away with practice?
Yes.
Because she said, can you speak to anxiousness that comes with this practice and laying down the roles?
Yes. So I think it just comes to a simple word, which is alignment, right? So when we understand who God is and we understand that which is God, so the wisdom, the joy, the presence, just being present, all of these things, we understand that they are not born, they cannot die, they are not owned by any one group of people, that it just is. And so anxiousness, we understand, is just a sign that we are not quite owning who we really are. And so the anxiousness is just a sign that we need to continue to speak what we believe, what we know to be true, until it becomes so ingrained in us that, yes, we will still have attacks when our mind tells us, oh, you know what, you just said the wrong thing. Pamela, you went on that interview and you really bombed it. And I say, no, because I know that I'm in alignment with God, and that what is going to happen is supposed to happen. Whatever I said, it was divinely timed for someone. And I can trust and believe in that. And so I believe it was Helen. Was it Helen who asked the question about anxiousness?
No, that was Monique.
Oh, I'm sorry, Monique. Monique, yeah, the anxiousness will go away, but we don't own it. It's like a cloud in the sky. If we focus on it, it will stay. But if we focus on what is true, even when we can't see it, then that's what will be true. That is what will remain. I have this practice that I started, it was probably about September, where I was getting tired of all the rain, and I would wait. I was getting like, I'm tired of the rain, and I wanted the sun to come out. And then I had this thought, and I said, wait, the sun is out. I just can't see it. So me acknowledging that the sun is always there is, I can see it. I can't see it, but I know that it's there. And so with my mind and my heart, I see it. I see that the sun is there. I acknowledge that the sun is there. And so that's how it has to be with our true self, our true nature. Sometimes we don't see it play out the way that we think it should, but it's there. And so we just speak to it.
I love that. And I want to go back to that example I was using about, do you see the cloud in the paper? Because without the rain and without you don't have trees and you don't have paper, right? And sometimes it's easier for us to accept the paper mill. I know it has to exist because this paper is here, than it is for us to the tangible thing, right? Than it is for us to understand the greater things that go beyond the paper mill, like the sun and the rain and that kind of stuff. And I think that happens in our lives. And so when you think back to, she said, thanks so much. That really resonated. When you think back to times when you are out of alignment, when you're anxious, when you are disturbed or distraught, or whatever those things are, and that's not to condemn feelings, because we're absolutely allowed to feel whatever it is that's coming up, because you're going to have a thought about something, which is going to create an emotion, a feeling, an emotion, right? It's how we decide to process it and then act on it is where we, because you can always grab that and pull it back into alignment. Right? Even the Bible will talk about be angry, but sin not. Feel this, but pull it back. Right. And so, and even in anxiousness, it's not that I'm bad because I felt anxiousness and now I'm out of alignment and I'm, no, it's, you feel that, because here's the truth that Pam spoke. There's a nugget of learning in everything. So when things happen, I've had something happen recently, and I said, maybe something like this had to happen. Maybe it's not about the thing. Maybe it's about the peripheral, the essence of what would allow that to happen. Maybe that's what this is about, right? And maybe it's the learning from the outside looking in. That's important, not just the thing that's happening on the inside, right? Leola says yes. Angie says, I feel anxiousness creeping in sometimes, but I have to walk and read God's word out loud to dismiss anxiousness that quickly turns into anxiety. I mean, that is like the number one thing I've always said. When you have negative narrative running in your mind, my philosophy is I'm not going to sit there and have the fight in my head. Right. I'm not going to sit there. Well, that was a dumb move.
Oh, I can't hear you, Jeanette. Are you still there?
Girl, you remember I told you?
I knew it was. That's why.
It'll just randomly kick me out. I know I was on a good bent, and technology was trying to not let me be gay. But I'm back. So no, that's my perfect point. Is like, I'm not going to have this battle in my head. I'm going to speak truth over that. Because
Yeah.
first of all, I understand the power of my words
Yes.
to cut through the atmosphere,
Mm.
the vibration of my words, the power of my words. They are containers that hold supernatural power. My
Yeah.
words are containers that hold supernatural power. And so I'm not going to fight. I'm going to speak. That's not true.
Yeah.
I might have said a dumb thing that doesn't make me dumb.
Yes.
I might have done an unwise thing that doesn't make me stupid. Yeah. You have to speak to the thing.
Yeah.
Right? Stop the fight. You have to speak to the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a part of, so that'll take me over to the next thing. You all, I need to let you know, I've got to hop off a little bit earlier than we normally do today. But I have asked Pamela if we feel like we want to continue in exercises and do this, to come back and be a part of our live coaching session on Friday so that we can continue with this. So I'm just letting you know, when it hits about 10:52, I'm gonna have to hop off. But take us into the signs of being out of alignment.
Ooh.
And getting back. How do we get back?
Yeah.
I love that. Then it says you got to secure that perimeter.
Yeah.
Be aware of what you allow in and out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the visual, Jeanette. It's the attachment to the things I can physically see. That's called, yeah, because we don't worry about that. We don't think about the bigger things that we can't see that are more important. She's talking about the tree situation than the paper.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is much more important than the paper mill, because we could figure out another way to make, even before paper, what did we have? I can't think of the word, but anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. But we could figure out a way to create that. But without the sun, you can't create any of that. So it's not about that. And Sue said, my daily struggle. We understand.
Yes.
So lead us through that. How do we know what are some signs we're out of alignment, and how do we walk back into alignment with oneness?
Sure. So first I want to say this is that anxiety is misplaced creativity. So you have a creative mind. God is a creator. And so we can choose to use it for good, or we can choose to tear ourselves down with it. We don't want to do that. So the first sign that you're out of alignment, even with others, are you getting some feedback from me?
I'm typing your little quotable.
Oh, so the first sign that we're out of alignment is you don't feel good. Yeah. We're meant to feel good, right? We are designed to have, when, all this was created, it was good. So when we feel negative emotion, which isn't a bad thing, negative emotion is important because it shows us where we are. So I have this chart that I use sometimes, and I'll share it with you later on, but it shows emotions spiraling up, and then it shows emotions spiraling down. So, all the higher level emotions, love, joy, peace, and all those things.
High vibration emotions.
Yes. And then we have our lower level emotions, fear, worry, doubt, anger, frustration, all of these things. But what we don't understand is and it's actually, this diagram is in my book. When we feel ourselves in a lower level emotion, sometimes it is like a springboard for us to reach for something higher. We feel this emotion deeply, we embrace it, we release it, and then we reach up. And then sometimes that's what's out of alignment. So when we're out of alignment, it's not a bad thing. It's just a sign to us that we need to get back. But sometimes what happens is we feel this lower level emotion and we get real comfortable in it. We like to, get a pillow and lay down with it. And then what happens is it's a contracting emotion. So it causes us to go from fear to anxiety, to doubt, to worry, to, and then we just go down. And then sometimes even anger, that's what depression is. It's inward face anger, where we are angry with ourselves because of something. And so we get caught in this spiral, this toilet bowl of emotions, which is also a sign of, being out of alignment. The thing that we can do when we find ourselves there is look up and look for a higher feeling. So it might just be, I'm in this situation right now. It's really hard. I could choose depression and go down, or I could look up and reach for acceptance, which understands that all things are working for my good and my benefit. There's nothing that I'm lacking. I have exactly what I need, just like the butterfly caterpillar. There we go. The caterpillar has everything that it needs to become a butterfly within it. And it just, so we, as long as we can embrace within ourselves that we have everything that we need, we can look up and we can grab acceptance. And then once we get to acceptance, we can grab something a little bit higher too. So that's kind of how I get back into alignment.
I love that.
With who I really am.
I love that. And they're tapping it out with the hearts on Periscope. I see you. I love that. Neil said this is good. And so I think that's a good place for us to start winding down. I definitely want to invite you to come back, Pamela, as we talk about how we move into oneness more fully in our lives. I can see an intersection, you all, between this and our exercise that we do, the points of view exercise, where we take a picture, a word, and a phrase, and we look at the blocks, like what's keeping us from fully moving in oneness. I'm just in my head, I can see it. So she's looking at Pamela's like, what are you talking about? But I'm going to share it with her. We're going to come back on Friday and we're going to get together and we're going to work and dig a little bit more in these nuggets, because they're good nuggets. But before we go today, let's all do this. What's the thing you're going to reach up for? What are you going to trade today? Let's talk about what you're going to trade today. List something that you know is not really serving you and is probably in a lower level emotion or state of being, right? And then what are you going to reach up and replace it with today? Let's do that. So on point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to Friday. Yes. Thank you, Reverend Angie. We have to take advantage of important moments of spiritual, mental, and heart recalibrations by starting with the foundation of thankfulness. Gratitude will always spring. Gratitude is a great springboard. It gives you more bounce than a lot of stuff sometimes. You have been such an expander for me, Pamela. Thank you for sharing your light.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Pamela.
Thank you, Leola.
Yes, very positive. Okay, so you're going to reach up for gratitude.
Yes.
Type it in, y'all. What's the thing on this side? And what are you going to reach up for? I think I started working on this already, but I think I'm going to push back on the disappointment, feeling of disappointment. And I'm going to reach up for joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always have to push away frustration, because, you can be frustrated with people, you're frustrated with the situation, but I always push away frustration and I always reach for understanding.
Yes.
So, and that's a oneness practice. That's, wanting to understand, wanting to bridge the gap. And so that's what I'm going to be reaching for.
And we need more of that in our world, even right now. Right.
Yeah.
And I agree, because for me, joy, the fullness of joy has all of that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In joy, there's an understanding about me, myself in relation to other people, my place in this world in the midst of crazy, all of that.
Yeah.
Let's see what they're saying in the chat room. They're talking it out. So Sue says, I'm going to look at a mistake, and instead of automatically seeing failure, I'm going to look at the lesson. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Everybody's saying, thank you. Miss Helen's reaching up for peace. Yes. Neil's reaching for peace.
We need that right now. We need everybody to hold down the fort for peace.
Dennis says, I love the idea of anxiety being misplaced creativity, rethinking how we call a thing a thing. Yes. Persistence. Reach for it. Savalas, I'm going to push back on feeling rushed and reach up for patience and self-grace. Yes. Yes to understanding. Great discussion about oneness. Well, thank you. I am Myron Lee. Appreciate you for joining us on Periscope. Thanks for being in. I hope you are subscribed and tap me out some hearts. I'd love to see some of the work that you do too. Leola said, She's just gonna reach up for it. Whatever's
Look.
up there.
Just help.
Just gonna reach up.
Just
Reach up, push up, whatever. I'm just up. Just
that's
up.
beautiful.
Just up. Whatever.
Just up.
Just up. It's like fishing. Just cast it up.
The closest one.
That's it. Pamela, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing your wisdom around oneness and helping us appreciate and understand oneness more fully and being mindful of it in a way that we can move through life. Even today, we can make decisions right now today that help us. She said, yes, Lord, just up. That help us shift our state of being. And when you shift your state of being, so much more can happen in the fullness of your career, your relationships, your relationship to yourself, just all of those things. So I don't know about you all, but I really do feel lighter. I really do feel an expansion. I do feel breath moving in more places like it should. So thank you so much, Pamela. Appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing you back on Friday.
Yes, I look forward to joining you. Thank you so much, Jeanette, for having me. I really appreciate it.
My heart. Thank you so much, Pamela. And I'm gonna close out the show, but thank you again. And I'll talk to you real soon. Okay.
Okay.
She is just a joy. Yes. Thanks for sharing, Pamela. Both said amazing. I can't wait for Friday. So I'm going to hop off now, you all, but I just want to remind you that tomorrow is Thursday, and I'm working on something for tomorrow, and so you'll just have to show up at 1 o'clock. I'm not sure it's confirmed yet, but just show up tomorrow at 1 o'clock for Life Unscripted. That's the beautiful thing about being unscripted. That means it could be whatever, and it's still going to be good. It's going to be good for our soul, all right? So until then, I hope that you all have a most fantastic, joy-filled day with everything raining down on you that's a higher level, high frequency, love emanating vibration, everything that is cultivated and grown out of love. I hope that's what showers down on you all day today. And if you don't feel it, reach up and grab it anyway. All right. Love you all to life, and I'll see you tomorrow.